It's time for today's face-off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face-off on Fox Soul starts right now.
And he did it in self-defense.
New documents detail what happened before and after 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony allegedly pulled a knife from his backpack and stabbed him. Fox 4's Alex Boyer joining us now live with the latest. Alex.
Here's Quan LX.
Charles, we just watched a segment here discussing the tragic loss of life of a young high school student in Frisco, Texas at a track meet. And watching that newscast, it upsets me because that newscast is full of damn lies. This is a tragic situation where a young man lost his life, yes. But young Karmelo Anthony, in this case, the young man who's been charged with murder, he did not assault anyone in the beginning. He didn't start this fight. The young man approached him with his brother, threatening Karmelo to move out of a spot that was not assigned to anybody. Where Karmelo was sitting, he had a right to be sitting. There was no assigned seating anywhere in the stadium that excluded students from sitting in certain areas. Then when they went to Karmelo, he was threatened by both brothers. And he told them, "Don't put your hands on me." And they threatened to put their hands on him. And he told them, "If you put your hands on me, watch what happens." The white kid, in this case, punched Karmelo in the face. He didn't push him, he punched him in the face. And then that young man defended himself, and unfortunately, a young student lost his life. But Charles, in the state of Texas, you have a right to stand your ground, and if you are the victim of a vicious attack, you can use deadly force if necessary to protect yourself and your life to stop you from becoming a further victim of an assault or a crime. Why is this young man in jail when he didn't start it? He didn't approach anyone. They approached him. They used profane language toward him. They threatened him and then assaulted him, and he defended himself. Why is he in jail? He defended himself from a vicious attack and assault. So this young man, in my opinion, should not be in jail. Teach your children, keep your hands to yourself. That's what needs to be taught here. And to tell this young brother to give up your seat, give me your seat, this ain't no damn Rosa Parks era. You just can't go to a young black man and say, give up your seat. He had a right to sit there. And so that brother had his back of the bus moment and refused to give up his seat, and it cost that young white kid his life.
I rarely say this, Quanell. I sometimes internalize it, but shame on you. How absolutely despicable for you to sit here and try to draw this false equivalency between Rosa Parks and this scumbag murderer. Right? Shame on you for living a life defined by make-believe racial grievance that you seek a pulpit to lie to people. And let's talk about those lies. Even if you assume everything that is coming out of the Karmelo Anthony camp, even if you assume all of that is true, under the laws of the state of Texas, he is still absolutely guilty of murder, period. Like, you can assume all the fabrications are true. It's still murder, right? You do not have a right to use deadly force in response to a shove or a punch. Now, mind you, all the witness statements are saying it was a shove that was goaded, but let's assume everyone's lying and this murderer is telling the truth. You still can't, because the scenario, what you're advocating for and pulling Rosa Parks into, is that every time someone walks through a club and someone shoves them or bumps them, you can pull out a knife and stab them in the heart and kill them. And I have no doubt that more is going to come out of Karmelo Anthony. That more evidence, there are rumors that I don't want to regurgitate.
Oh, please do.
No. Let's talk about what has been sold. That you sent me this weekend when we were discussing it. You sent me the statement by the police chief that turned out to be just fabricated. Somebody out there making believe the FBI is now involved, right? And that people are regurgitating all over social media. And it's all driven on racial lines. You are the one that was calling for Daniel Penny to go to prison for life. Now, mind you, we have this new spectacular game in America, right, where we play white man always bad and evil, black man always good, no matter what happens. The truth is, my feelings on this, if it was a white young man who brought a knife to school, went to someone else's tent, started being a jackleg, refused to move out, and then pulled out a knife and jabbed it in someone's heart, I would call him a murderer. And if so, and if a white kid did exactly what Karmelo Anthony did to a black kid, you would be out here marching in the
Oh,
streets.
no, I would
People
not
would
be.
be burning your
George
Zimmerman.
George Zimmerman with the Trayvon Martin
Okay.
and put his hands on that kid
Okay.
who was doing nothing wrong.
Okay.
And you same white folks found George Zimmerman not guilty of murder when Trayvon was defending himself. Right here in Texas, you've had many cases where white men have been assaulted by black men. They use deadly force and they're not charged.
Why are you talking about something else?
You cannot
Why are you
tell
lying
me
about my position, you despicable, shameless liar?
He was
ahead,
assaulted.
liar.
That young man was assaulted. He was threatened more than one time. He was asked to move from an area he had a right to sit in. He didn't approach nobody. He didn't threaten nobody. That young man, after being threatened continuously 3 times in a row, was punched in the face. He had a right to defend himself. So don't tell me that this young man can be threatened multiple times and physically punched and assaulted, and he ain't got a right to put his hands in self-defense on the person assaulting him. And he can use whatever force is necessary to stop the attack.
Why do you just
You
lie
brought up Daniel
all the
Penny.
time?
You brought up Daniel Penny.
I did.
Daniel Penny choked the young man to death on the subway. But that young man hadn't assaulted anybody. He was making threats, but he physically didn't touch anyone. This case was threats backed up by a physical attack and assault that this young man put on that young black brother. That young black brother had a right to defend himself when he was beyond threatened but viciously attacked.
Well, there's another key difference, right? Mr. Penny, right, had a crazy guy going up and screaming and yelling and threatening to kill people, an unhinged guy that should have probably been in a hospital.
The same thing the white boy did to Karmelo Anthony.
You know, not screaming over you. Let me finish, right? And Daniel Penny, not using a deadly weapon, restrained him. And I said from the very beginning, there's a real question about where the line was drawn and what he did and if he was alive. Now, the medical examiner came out and they said it turns out that the fellow was still alive when Mr. Penny let him go. But that was a very nuanced situation. But here's a big nuance. I mean, something that you're ignoring is it didn't involve a deadly weapon. But let's talk about examples. So Daniel Penny put up a GoFundMe and it got taken down. Oh, it can't be up, right? The Anthony family, the wonderful Anthony family that raised this murderer, did such a wonderful job, this defender, right, of liberty, this new Rosa Parks for 2025, as you call him. They put a GoFundMe up for $100,000. It didn't get taken down. The moment, minutes after it got the $100,000, they jacked it up for more money because it's all just a con.
George Zimmerman raised $1 million that was donated to him after killing Trayvon Martin. Kyle Rittenhouse, after he
What the fuck does that have to do with anything? What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Let me drop the link, man. What the fuck does that have to do with anything, man? Here we go. Link in the description box, man. Joe Zimmerman. Joe Zimmerman. Fuck. Joe Zimmerman. Black people be comparing different cases in different states. They act like the only people ever got arrested are those damn fucking BLM fucking poster children.
What he did, and if he was alive. Now,
this white boy right here, though, he got some balls, man. He must be fucking Hispanic or something and just